Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. One of the topics which have been hitting my comment section is called Erik Erikson stages of psychosocial development. I'll try to explain this model in a very simplified manner so that you can understand that how Erik Erikson created different stages of a human being's life. So let's begin. Let's take an overview of this theory first. So Erikson in his theory maintained that the personality is developed through 8 stages of psychosocial development. From infancy to adulthood. So right from your infancy stage, from your infant stage to your adulthood stage, there are 8 stages and we crosses 8 stages to reach our till we die. During each stage, the person experiences a psychosocial crisis which could have a positive or negative outcome. That means that Erikson believed that in every stage you require something, right? And based on your requirement, if you get that requirement, you have a positive impact. On the other side, if you don't get it, you have a negative impact. And based on that, your personality depends. So that means that in every stage, if you successfully complete that particular stage, then your personality will be very healthy. But if there is some issues, if it is not unsuccessful, then obviously you will have some negative outcome on your personality. Failure to successful completion of a stage can result a reduced ability or complete further stages and therefore a more unhealthy personality and sense to itself. Just I told you earlier that if you have successfully completed a stage, you will have positive outcomes. On the other side, if you have negatively completed a particular stage, you will have negative outcomes, and it may also affect your other stages as well. Let's take a look of all the stages which Erik Erikson proposed in his model. So there are 8 stages. The first stage is called trust versus mistrust. Second is called autonomy versus shame. Third is called initiative versus guilt. Fourth is industry versus inferiority. Fifth is identity versus role confusion. Intimacy versus isolation. Generativity versus stagnation, and ego integrity versus despair. And this is the age bracket which is also given in this particular, which will be covering everything in detail now. Everything in detail. Let's begin with the first one. The first one is called trust versus mistrust. So this stage begins at the birth and it continues approximately till 18 months of age. That means it is right from the first month to 18 month, you have your stage 1, and that is called trust versus mistrust. During this stage, the infant is uncertain about the world. Obviously, when we are born, we are not clear about what is going to happen. We are amazed by the things which are going around us, like a small kid. And we try to observe people around us. And we look for primary caregiver. We look for someone who is taking care of us, for our stability and for our consistency. We always find some person around us, maybe your mother, most of the times your mother, or maybe your father, or maybe your brother. You have someone around you who take care for you, whom every child trusts, right, in the beginning stages, in the beginning age. So let's talk about the outcomes now. What outcome you can face in this stage 1? So if the children receives a consistent care, that means if the children is getting that consistent love, consistent care from someone, then what will happen? What will be the outcome? The outcome will be a sense of trust and feel secure about the environment. That means a child will feel happy. He will develop a sense of trust because someone is there to take care of him. And if the care is inconsistent, that means at some times you are getting some kind of care, but at the same time, at other time you are not getting it. And if there is inconsistency in the love and the care which is given to a child, then what will happen? Then there will be a sense of mistrust and suspicion and anxiety. So it is very, very important, and that's why it is always said that it is very important that we create a very healthy environment around the child. We must ensure that the child receives love and care in his early stages of life, because right from the early stage, if he doesn't receive it, you can see he will not trust anyone. He will always have suspicion on other people, and he will always face anxiety. And that is the reason why the success of this stage, if the stage is successful, that means the child is getting a proper love, care and consistency. With consistency, then he will develop a virtue of hope. So stage 1 outcome is hope. So I hope the first stage is clear, that is trust versus mistrust. Let's talk about the second stage, and the second stage is called autonomy versus shame. So in the second stage, the stage occurs between the age of 18 months and approximately to 3 years. That means the age, now once you move from 18 months, then from 18 months to 3 years, we have stage 2 as per the Erikson model, and that is about autonomy versus shame. So in this stage, what happens is that children at this stage are focused on developing a sense of personal control. So now once the child is above 18 months, now he try to develop some kind of personal control. He try to crawl, he try to walk, he try to be a little bit more independent over his physical skills, obviously his physical mobility, and moreover as sense of independence. He try to crawl, he try to walk, he try to do different things with his physical body, try to get that feeling of independence in this age of 18 months to 3 years. And what will happen? So what could be the outcome of this stage? So in the second stage, if the child is encouraged, that means you are allowing your child to walk, you are allowing your child to crawl, you are providing them some kind of support, some kind of motivation to walk, then what will happen? Those physical independence outcome would be that he will feel more confident, more secured, and ability to survive. That is the kind of personality he will develop because he is getting successful in this stage. On the other side, if the stage is not successful, that means if the people around them is criticizing them, if over controlling them, you are not giving them chance, you are not providing them opportunities, then what will happen? Then feel inadequate in ability to survive and over dependent upon others. That means every time your child will look for someone who can just take them into their laps. They will not walk, they will not crawl because you have not provided them the opportunity, and they are always dependent, and this dependent affects their decision making in the upcoming stages, and it will also not create that ability to survive also. So it's very important that at this stage, as a parent, you or as a caretaker, you must provide your child a sense of independence. You must allow them to crawl, you must allow them, support them in their walking. And what will be the outcome of this stage? The outcome will be that virtue of will comes to the kid. For the child, the virtue of will is equally important. So in the first stage, the child gets hope, and the second stage, the child gets will. So let's talk about the third stage, and the third stage is called initiative versus guilt stage. And what happens in this stage? That children assert themselves more frequently towards direct playing and other social interaction. Now the kids get in the age above 3, and when they are above 3, they try to get involved into some kind of playing. They try to interact with people around them. They try to interact with other kids around. And during this period, the child regularly interact with other kids in the school. So when the child goes to a play school after 3 years, then they try to interact with other kids. They try to play with the other kids. They feel more independent now, based on the success of the second stage, obviously. It provides the children with the opportunity to explore their interpersonal skills through initiating activities. That means in this stage, the child gets that ability to plan something new. The child gets the ability to initiate something, and they try to develop their interpersonal skills. As I told you that they just try to interact with other by developing their interpersonal skills. Child begin to plan activities, make up games, and initiate activities with others. You'll always see a child saying, let's go and play. Let's design a play. They try to create their own games at this stage. You can always see in the kid which is around 3 to 4 years old, they try to create their own games. They try to play. They will run. They will play hide and seek. They will try to do something which is of their end. If given this opportunity, child develops a sense of initiative. Now, very, very important that at this stage, if you will support your child, you provide them this opportunity to design their own games, plan their own games, then what will happen? They will get a sense of initiative, and they will feel secure also in their abilities. It is very, very important to ability to lead others. It is always important right from the childhood that you should not suppress your child. Let them play. Let them find their own space. And when you don't allow them, they will never be able to make their own decisions. So if the positive outcome is there, a sense of initiative will come, ability to lead will come, and they will also try to make their own decision. But if it doesn't happens, then obviously the child will lack initiatives, they will lack leadership qualities, and they will also always have problems in making decisions. Let's come down to the stage 4, and this stage 4 is called industry versus inferiority. So in this stage, the age bracket is 5 to 12. Now the kid is above 5. So when somebody is above 5, what will happen is the children at this stage where they will be learning to read and write and do sums and do something of their own. Now in this stage the child starts learning. They starts writing. They starts reading. They are more involved into academic activities now, and they are also now going to a regular school. Teacher begins an important role in the child's life as they teach the child specific skills. Now in this stage, the role of the parents becomes less and the role of the teacher becomes more. Why? Because most of the times of the daytime, the children are involved with their teacher. And if the teachers are providing them support, providing them care, the child will develop more. It is at this stage the child peer group will gain greater significance and become major source of child self-esteem. So there are two people around a child which will become more important this stage. One is your teachers, and second is your fellow school friends. The people who are playing with you, people who are sitting with you on the bench, people with whom you are taking your lunch, they becomes they play a very significant role in your life. And we always try to imitate their actions. We try to define success and failure based on the environment we get from the people around us. And if this stage is successful, that means if the child is encouraged, then what will happen? The child will feel more competent and more confident. Why? Because now in the inner circle, earlier there was parents, but now there is another circle in which you have teachers and you have your friends. So if all are supportive and all are providing you equal opportunities, then you are more competent, you are more confident. On the other side, if the children is not encouraged, they are discouraged, then what will feel? They will feel inferior. And that is what happens in school sometimes. What happens is we try to compare ourselves with other kids. Even teacher compares, even parent compare. I feel that you will always remember your childhood memories where somebody compared you with someone, right? I always had this because teachers generally used to do it, right? And parents also have this tendency to do it. So what happens if this stage, when you keep on trying to compare your child with other kids, and you always push your child that look at that person, look at that child, then what will happen? The child will feel inferior. So that is very, very important. The child should not feel inferior. And they will always doubt their own competencies and own abilities. Every child is special. They can do something special in their life. But what we do, we don't nurture that child. What we do, we suppress that child. If somebody is drawing well, we don't say that you are drawing well. We always ask him why you are not studying. And if somebody is studying well, we never say that why you are studying well. We always say that why you are not able to dance, you are not able to sing, why you are not able to going to debate. So we try to compare. We want our child to be 100% in everything, and that's not possible, right? It cannot be possible. So as a parent, we need to understand if your child is not doing X thing well, he may be doing something Y in very, very well. And we need to encourage that Y, because that will lead to a virtue of competence. As per this model, the child will have that competency, that self-belief that I can do something wonders in my life. Let's come down to the stage 5, and that is called identity versus role confusion. So what happens in stage 5? The age bracket of this is 12 to 18 years. So now your child is around 12 years old, and now from 12 to 18, this stage will come into picture. And in this stage, what happens during this stage, adolescents search for this sense of self and personal identity. So in this 12 to 18 years, the child is now a teenager, he's an adolescent, and he now try to find his own personal identity by exploration of personal values, belief and goals. Now he try to set their own goals, try to develop his own feelings, own personal values. Now that stage comes into picture. Child are becoming more independent now and begin to look at the future in the terms of career, relationship, families and housing. So obviously the first 4 stages are equally important, because then only your child will feel very, very good and independent, and he'll try to develop, he will try to take some decision of his career, his relationship, his families. He'll try to understand his role in the environment. And the major stage of the child development, where the child has to learn the roles he will occupy as an adult. Now in this stage, the child learns that what roles I have to play. in the upcoming time, what are my goals, what are my career choices, everything comes into picture at this stage. Erikson said that there are two identities which are very important. First is your occupational identities and second is your sexual identity. It is very, very important that we must understand what is our sexual identity, because at this stage of life, every teenager gets very, very curious about his sexual identity. And that is obviously very, very clear in this stage. And second is occupational. Obviously that is related to your career choices. So these two kinds of identity must be cleared or must be developed in the sense of a kid in the age of 12 to 18 years. And the outcome of this particular stage is fidelity. Now what is fidelity? Let me explain you what is fidelity. Fidelity means that committing oneself to others on the basis of accepting others even when they are ideological differences. So there is a complete possibility that I have some ideological difference with somebody else. But then what we do, we don't impose ourselves, we try to accept them. And this is very, very important in this stage. That rather than we impose ourselves, we try to accept our kid. And similarly, we also try to make sure that the child accepts the environment around them rather than imposing it. Because what will happen is during this period, they explore the possibilities and begin to form their own identity based upon the outcome of their exploration. So they try to explore in this age, and then based on their exploration, they try to finally define their both kind of personality, their sexual identities also, their occupational identities also. They try to inbuild that into their personality. So there are high chances of role confusion. So there is a complete chances that at this stage the child get confused, and that is what is called as identity crisis, or which is also called as role confusion. We don't know what is my role. We don't know why I am existing. What is my identity? We are not able to find it out. And that is where the role of the people who are around the kid comes into picture. Adolescent may begin to experiment with different lifestyles. And then what you do at this particular stage, you try to do different things in terms of education, in terms of your political activities, in terms of social activities, in terms of work, anything which you are doing currently, you try to explore different things because you are not able to find what is right and what is wrong for you. Also pressurizing someone in this identity can result into rebellion in the form and negative identity in the feeling of unhappiness. That means if you are imposing, if you are pressurizing your identity over your kid identity or over a child's identity, they will become more rebellion, the anger will come into their personality, and more importantly, they will have that feeling of unhappiness. So at this stage, we need to provide a free environment so that the child can explore, but at the same time, we need to guide them also in this fidelity process that accept yourself and accept others. Let's come down to the stage 6, and that is called intimacy versus isolation. So what is the stage 6? The age bracket is 18 to 40 years. So that is your age bracket. So that is what the age bracket is. And at this stage, the major conflict center of forming intimate loving relationship with other people. So in this age from 18 to 40, we try to create some kind of love relationship, some kind of intimate relationship with someone. And during this stage, we begin to look for people with whom we can share ourselves and more intimately. That means we will try to look for some person around us. We try to find a girlfriend, maybe a wife, maybe we try to find someone around us, and vice versa also. We try to find out someone with whom we can share our feelings and with whom we can trust someone who can understand our feelings and provide us correct advice. We explore relationships leading towards long-term commitments with someone other than family members. That means apart from your family members, at this stage, you try to look for people, you try to look for relationships from where you can find a long-term commitment. When you find someone who can understand you, you provide your long-term commitment at this stage. The success of this stage, what will happen? So if the successful completion of this stage will happen, then what will happen? Then there is a happy relationship and commitment. Obviously, if you find someone who is trustworthy, who understands your feelings and you are able to share yourself, then what will happen? You will have a happy relationship. On the other side, if there is unsuccessful at this stage, you are not able to find someone, you keep on trying and then also you are not able to find someone, then what will happen? That you will have isolation, you will have loneliness, you will have depression also, because you are not finding anyone with whom you can share your feelings. And there are certain feelings which cannot be shared with your family members. For that purpose, you need someone out of your family members who can share long-term commitments with you. And out of this, the success of this will the virtue of love. So outcome is virtue of love. Let's come to the stage 7, and that is called generativity versus stagnation. So in the stage 7, the age bracket is 40 to 65. In this stage, what happens? We try to give back to society by raising our children, being productive at work, and becoming involved in community services and organizations. So at this stage, most of the people, what they do, they try to do some kind of community services, some social services. They're busy with raising their own kids. They believe that what they are doing is doing good for the nation. And this stage is successful, then what will happen? In this stage, you will be ending up with usefulness and accomplishment, a feeling of usefulness. If the stage is completely, that means you are able to raise your kids well, then you will feel that a sense of accomplishment. If you are doing good at organization, there is a feeling of sense of accomplishment at this stage. But if the stage is not successfully done, then what will happen? Then you will feel stagnant and you will feel unproductive. That means your feeling will be very, very stagnant, that I have not done anything, I am very unproductive. So that is also very, very important in this stage. And then the last stage, and that is called the ego integrity versus despair. So what happens in this stage is, the stage begins approximately at the age of 65 and ends at death. That means above 65 till the time we are alive, we are at stage 8. In this stage, we try to evaluate our life based on the goals we set. So in the early stage of life, right from the 21, 22, 25, we always set our goals in our life. And when we are 65 plus, we try to evaluate that whether what we have achieved out of the goals we have set. So, and based on that, successful completion if happens, then your feeling would be very, very satisfied. That means whatever goals you've set in your life, you have achieved it and you are no regret. On the other side, if your goals have not been successful, have not been able to achieve it, then what will happen? You will have hopelessness and you will have dissatisfaction. So this is all about the different stages of Erik Erikson model. So I hope you understood this particular model. This was all about a stage, 8 stages of Erik Erikson model. If you like something, do subscribe to my channel, like and share. You will find this PDF from the link given in the description box, and you can download it from the organizational behavior section. So thanks for watching. We'll be meeting in the next video very, very soon.